We would fight, we would tussle.
Welcome to new viral drama, where Hollywood ain't hiding secrets. It's blowing them up right in our faces. Viewer discretion, strongly advised. What you're about to hear isn't speculation. It's straight from federal courtroom testimony in the explosive trial of Sean Diddy Combs, as reported by Inner City Press. And when the judge called the next witness, you could hear a pin drop. The room froze. Then, shock. All heads turned as Usher Raymond walked in. Yep, that Usher. Grammy-winning superstar, industry icon. Stepping up not to sing, not to talk music beefs, but to finally expose what's been haunting him for years. This wasn't about broken contracts or label drama. This was about the twisted truth behind the scenes of Diddy's empire. Usher had always kept quiet. He smiled on red carpets, dodged the questions, played the industry game. But now, with Diddy facing federal charges for trafficking, coercion, and running what some are calling a criminal ring, Usher isn't holding back no more. He said this truth has been eating him alive.
Now to Sean Diddy Combs, looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced as prosecutors allege.
And it all started when he was just 14, living under Diddy's roof. What he saw, what he felt, what he realized later on about the dark side of the entertainment world, it shook him to the core. And now, he's ready to talk. This ain't just another celebrity bombshell. This is historic. Usher's testimony could flip the entire industry upside down. He started with the moment his life took a turn, when his own mom told him he'd be moving in with Diddy, just 14 years old, fresh off his debut album, hungry for a real shot at stardom. L.A. Reid had set it all up, thinking Diddy's mentorship would rocket Usher straight to the top, but nobody knew what kind of world he was stepping into. "I thought I was going to learn how to be a star," Usher said in court, his voice steady but laced with tension. "What I saw instead were things no teenager should ever be exposed to." From day one inside Diddy's slick Manhattan penthouse, it was chaos wrapped in luxury. Champagne with breakfast, strangers passed out on random couches, rooms that didn't seem to exist the day before, celebs and media personalities just laying around half-dressed, unconscious, or whispering behind doors. This wasn't mentorship, it was madness. He remembered thinking it was all just some eccentric lifestyle. "They called it the flavor camp," Usher explained. "I thought it was just branding, but later I realized it meant indulgence, full-blown, out-of-control excess. And he was just a kid thrown right into it." The courtroom was locked in, jaws tight, eyes glued, as Usher peeled back the curtain on what his mentorship with Diddy really became. He wasn't being taught vocals, no stage presence lessons, none of that. Instead, Usher claimed he was pulled into the lifestyle, wild nights, celebrity chaos, and strict silence. He told me, "This is how we do it. You don't ask, you just watch. Learn by watching. That's how grown men roll," Usher testified. And then came the night he could never forget. Usher said he woke up around 3 a.m. Something felt off. Music playing low, candlelight flickering in the hallway, people in masks slipping into the apartment like they were actors in some twisted scene. He followed the glow into the living room, and what he saw froze him in place. It wasn't just some wild party. He said it looked ritualistic. Cameras set up, lists, structure. No one looked confused. They were following a plan. "I thought maybe I stumbled onto a movie set," Usher said. "But deep down, I knew I shouldn't be seeing this."
Moved to New York City. and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
He was told to go back to bed, but there was no way he was sleeping that night. That moment, that was it. That's when everything about Diddy changed in his eyes. Forever. The courtroom was locked in silence while Usher laid it all out. How what started as mentorship spiraled into something darker. He wasn't getting lessons on vocals or how to own a stage. Nope. Instead, Usher said he was being trained to keep quiet and soak in the chaos. He claimed Diddy didn't want questions, just obedience. He told me, this is how we do it. You don't ask, you just watch. Learn by watching. That's how grown men roll, Usher recalled. And then came a night that he said still haunts him. He said he woke up around 3 a.m. The vibe in the apartment had changed. Soft music playing, candles flickering down the hallway, and people wearing masks, silently entering the space like they belonged there. Usher followed the light toward the living room and froze. What he saw, it wasn't just wild partying, it felt ritualistic. There were cameras, organized lists, people moving like they knew exactly what to do. No one flinched, no one questioned it. I thought maybe I walked into a movie set, Usher admitted, but something in me knew I wasn't supposed to be seeing this. Someone told him to go back to bed. He did, but sleep, not a chance. That night, Usher said, was when everything changed. That's when his whole view of Diddy snapped into something completely different. Then Usher dropped something that hit the courtroom hard. The warnings he never got. Not a single heads up from his label, not from his mom, not from the folks in the industry who already knew what Diddy's world was really about. People thought Diddy was just eccentric, Usher said. They didn't see how much power he had over people. Quiet power, but total.
Well, some documents have leaked about Usher. They were obtained by Radar Online, and apparently back in 2009 or 2010, he had contracted herpes and passed it on to a celebrity stylist having unprotected sex with her. He had to pay $1.1 million to that woman for severe emotional distress, and he also covered her medical bills. That case was settled back in 2012. Now, allegedly, there was a greenish discharge from his penis.
Whoa, that's a booger.
It's not a
You can get penis boogers? I didn't
But
know
he said he went to the doctor. He was cleared of any STDs, so the woman went on and continued. Now, if I notice a greenish discharge oozing out of your
exactly.
penis,
This ain't Nickelodeon.
I don't know that I would
That ain't
continue.
slime.
What you gonna say?
I know all these kids playing with slime nowadays, but no.
I don't care who you are,
Ain't nothing,
okay?
Nothing green supposed to be coming out your penis.
Nah, not at all.
That's not how this works.
Nope.
Yellow comes out my penis, and
If Diddy didn't like you, your career, done. If he did, you stayed silent. That was the price. According to Usher, there were others just like him. Young artists lured in with promises of success, but slowly pulled deeper into a world they didn't fully understand. Not yet anyway. He didn't name names. Not yet. But he made it very clear others are coming. There were witnesses all around them. Assistants, drivers, producers, even other artists. Everybody acted like it was normal, he told the jury. But inside, we knew the adults failed us. And then came the part that made people in the courtroom shift uncomfortably. Usher brought up a private trip to the Caribbean. He was just 15. Diddy had invited him, said it was a retreat, just the two of them and a couple more people. No label reps, no family, Just isolation, palm trees, and secrets. What was meant to be paradise. Usher hinted it became something way more disturbing. The place was cut off from everything, Usher told the court. No press, no cameras. And that's when I realized I wasn't there to learn anything about music. He paused. The whole room leaned in. I won't say it all, he continued. But what I will say is this. I didn't have a choice in the environment I was thrown into. It took me years to understand the level of manipulation. The courtroom fell dead silent. Usher said everything shifted after that Caribbean trip. His dynamic with Diddy flipped. The energy changed. Suddenly, Diddy was more controlling, more guarded. New faces were always coming around. More parties, more secrecy, more rules. And whenever Usher started to push back, even a little, he said Diddy hit him with a reminder every single time. He told me, "You don't bite the hand that feeds you. Remember who gave you this life." But Usher wasn't holding back anymore. He locked eyes with Diddy from the witness stand and fired off the line that stunned everyone in the courtroom.
We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you see Busta in the airport too. That motherfucker tried to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake?
No, I never smashed.
Oh, you made love to Drake.
And Cat Williams. What's his name?
Bro, you smashing a lot of people.
What's that name? Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Usher. Usher's a gusher.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it.
No. I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even, I don't want it to come close to the bed, at all. Usher look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. Fresh
off the guard stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like just how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early.
You didn't give me this life. You gave me nightmares. Then came the biggest shock yet. Usher said that when he was just 16, he was handed a contract with a confidentiality clause, tucked inside a so-called standard NDA. But he says it wasn't about protecting music secrets. It was about protecting bad boys' secrets, the real ones. Usher told the court that the contract he signed wasn't just a basic NDA. It had very specific language about private events and discretion. At the time, he said he didn't even understand half the terms on the page. My mom had to co-sign, Usher said. The label's lawyers told us it was standard. But now, he sees it for what it really was, a silence contract. I signed it because I trusted them, he admitted. But that signature, it bought my silence for years. He explained how the document stopped him from ever speaking out about the parties, the strange guests, and the disturbing behavior behind closed doors. They told me talking would ruin the brand, he said, but no one ever asked what it was doing to me. And it didn't stop when he turned 18. Usher said that years later, in 2009, he was preparing for a major interview. The questions started getting personal, and that's when things took a turn. I got a call, he said. Bad Boy's old legal team, out of nowhere. They reminded me about my NDA. Said, "We hope you're not thinking about putting your reputation at risk."
I ain't mean to stop you like that, but this is only a tease. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you Island Def Jam recording artist Justin Bieber. It's getting ready to go down. Just so you know, we're in the studio right now working on it. Get ready because it's going to be big. Ain't that right, Justin?
That's right.
That's right. So look out. We come.
Usher backed out of the interview, but it wasn't just legal pressure. He claimed the threats got personal, subtle but sharp. Calls from people still tied to Diddy, folks he hadn't heard from in years. And suddenly, they were checking in like nothing had happened. Except he knew exactly why they were really calling. "You think you're out?" Usher told the court. "But that world, it never lets you go." His voice tightened. "And if you step out of line, it's not just your career on the line, it's your safety." The courtroom went ice cold. Then, in a bold move, Usher pulled out a copy of the NDA he signed as a teen. The judge gave the green light to submit it as evidence. But this wasn't just paperwork anymore. Under that courtroom light, it looked chilling. The contract included strict clauses on audio, video, and unauthorized reproduction, phrases that now hit completely different when stacked next to rumors of Diddy's so-called freak-off tape archive. Usher's voice cracked. "That document made me feel like I was crazy," he said. "Like everything I saw, everything I felt, wasn't real, just because I couldn't speak it out loud." Then came a bombshell from the past, a moment few ever knew. He brought up 1996. He was 17. Diddy invited him to an elite mansion party in Atlanta. Usher thought it was just another industry event, but what he walked into changed everything. Diddy was playing host, but not just to artists. The place was packed with celebrities, models, and strange men who didn't seem to have any ties to music. The house was pure luxury, white marble floors, heavy security at every door, and a DJ spinning nonstop till the sun came up. But Usher said it wasn't the luxury that stuck with him, it was what came next. But it wasn't the mansion, the money, or the star-studded guest list that haunted Usher, it was the room. He told the courtroom that what truly stuck with him that night was a hidden door in the back of the house. Diddy leaned over, whispered something to a security guard, and the door clicked open.
Justin Bieber. This kid comes up to you. He's not Justin Bieber yet. He's just some kid. And he says, "I want to sing for you."
It was at the studio of Jermaine Dupri's. I said, why don't you set up a meeting between me and your manager? I'd love to meet with you and do this in a formal setting. I'm late for an appointment with Jermaine Dupri,
right?
And I don't want to keep him waiting. Let's just do this the right way.
And then you have him come to audition for you, right?
Actually, there were a few people. My wife at the time.
Right.
It also was Perry Reed, L.A. Reid's first wife.
So you were all sitting in a room
We
somewhere.
were in a room.
Yeah.
And I showed her the video. And Perry says, "Are you crazy? You better get down there and meet this kid right now. He's amazing."
When all these pics come out and all this stuff with Bieber's big penis, are you the mastermind behind that? Say, listen, show off your big penis and people will come to those concerts. Or are you sitting there?
Is that the kind of managing he's doing?
Usher, are you sitting down with him and saying, "Yeah, show you," or leave it in your pants? I mean, do you sit him down and say, "Look, part of this is PR,
Hey,
man."
by the way, he does have a brain of his own.
Yeah, but were you shocked at the size of his penis?
Hey, listen, he has a mind of his own. What he chose to do with his penis is his prerogative. He's managing that aspect of his life.
But Usher, is somebody...
I have nothing to do with Justin Bieber's...
"You're not ready for that yet," Diddy told him with a grin. But Usher peeked anyway, and what he saw chilled him to the bone. "There were people in masks," he said. "That's all I'll say. I didn't even know what I was looking at." Then Usher paused and dropped a line that sent a ripple through the entire courtroom. "I think that night changed me," he confessed. "I saw things I still can't explain. I don't know if it was legal, but I know it wasn't right." Then came another twist. He reached into his folder and pulled out photocopied journal pages. Usher told the court that back in 1998, he had started writing a journal, mostly to jot down lyrics, ideas, thoughts. But over time, it became something way deeper, a place where he quietly documented the strange, unspoken things happening around Diddy. He read from one entry, dated March 1999, "Had dinner with Diddy and 3 execs. I didn't know." That's where he stopped. The tension in the room, palpable. Everyone was holding their breath, wondering just what else those pages might hold. "They kept talking about loyalty," Usher read from another journal page. "Said loyalty keeps you on tour, but honesty puts you back home." Then he paused. Diddy laughed. Another entry, dated October 2000, described a Thursday night invite Usher turned down. "Too many secrets, too many masks. Diddy says it's just the culture. I don't agree." The prosecutor asked, "Did you ever share these entries with anyone?" Usher shook his head slowly. "I was scared of losing everything. I didn't think anyone would believe me." "Why share it now?" they asked. He leaned into the mic. "Because I've carried it long enough. It's time the truth comes out."
Show you this montage. This is a montage that was shared by Evie Magazine. They do great work on their TikTok of Justin Bieber, again, just 15 years old, in Hollywood, surrounded by a bunch of adults. And you let me know if any of this registers to you as normal. Take a listen.
Wow! I feel violated right now. Wow.
Lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Like that was bad.
Yeah.
Wow, look at your eyes. Yeah, look at what a beautiful face. All right.
Then came a story Usher said he had never shared, not even with close friends. He described 1997, age 18. Diddy invited him to Miami to meet a powerful investor, someone who, according to Diddy, could fund Usher's first global tour and take his career to another level. I thought it was business, Usher told the court. Diddy hyped it up like it was the biggest break of my life. But as he spoke, it became clear. Whatever happened next wasn't just about money. Usher's expression darkened. The courtroom leaned in, and what he was about to reveal had everyone bracing for impact. Dress sharp, be polite, make a good impression. That's what Diddy told Usher before the meeting in Miami. Usher said when he arrived at the penthouse suite at the luxury Satai Hotel, what he walked into was not what he expected. Inside, 3 men lounged around in robes, sipping top-shelf champagne. In the background, several young women sat quietly, barely speaking. One of the men, someone from overseas, looked Usher in the eye and asked, "Do you want to be remembered forever?" But he wasn't talking about music, Usher clarified. He said Diddy left the room, left him alone with the men. "I felt trapped," Usher told the court. "They didn't lay a hand on me, but one of them placed his hand on my shoulder and said, 'You can stay or you can leave. But you'll never get another invitation like this again.'"
To Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there.
Usher chose to walk away, and that's when everything started shifting. Shortly after, he was pulled from a major tour. A big-name producer suddenly bailed on their collab. No reason given. "No one ever told me it was because I left that suite," Usher said. But after that night, doors that were always open just slammed shut. Then, as the courtroom braced itself, Usher revealed something even darker. Diddy once showed him a disturbing clip recorded on a handheld camera. What was on that footage? He didn't say yet, but the room tensed. You could feel it, the weight of what was coming next. A few weeks after that Miami trip, Usher said Diddy pulled him aside and laughed as he played back a video on a handheld camera. It showed another young artist caught in something Usher said he was sure the guy would never have agreed to unless someone made him. The courtroom stiffened. "Did Diddy threaten you?" the attorney asked. Usher paused, then answered quietly, "He didn't have to. The people around him did. They didn't use words. They used silence and exile." That moment, Usher said, shattered everything he believed about the industry. "I realized then, fame wasn't about talent anymore. It was about submission. That's how you stayed famous in Diddy's world." The courtroom dimmed slightly. Cameras locked onto Usher's face. His voice shifted, deeper, more personal. "This is the hardest part," he said, "because it's not just about me anymore." Then he spoke the name everyone had been waiting for, Justin Bieber. Usher had been there from the start, helping to launch Bieber's career, mentoring him like the big brother he never had. "At first, it was all love," he said. "I wanted to protect him." But then, Diddy got involved, According to Usher, Diddy started inviting Bieber to private gatherings, calling it Flavor Camp, the exact same phrase Diddy once used with Usher when he was just a teenager. And just like that, the cycle started again. He was only 15, Usher said quietly, but they were treating him like a grown man. He was talking about Justin Bieber. Usher recalled a chilling night in 2011. His phone rang. It was Bieber, but he didn't say a word at first, just heavy breathing on the line. Then finally, in a low voice, he said, "I want to come home."
Justin Bieber is continuing the purge. He has now moved to unfollow Usher, okay, his original mentor. So this is a very big story. And the reason why we should discuss this and we should not diminish what is happening, it's not celebrity drama. This is actually the fall of Babylon that we are witnessing, Hollywood Babylon, that is. Something happened in the background and people started noticing some things last year. In 2024, you guys will remember that Usher was tapped to perform at the Super Bowl. And people therefore assumed, because usually when you are tapped to perform the Super Bowl, you bring in all your hits, you call up all your homies, there's all of these guest surprises of people jumping on stage, and it's a trip down memory lane. So everyone was really hyped and assuming that Justin Bieber would be on the stage with him, especially because Justin Bieber went to this Super Bowl. So the signs were there. But then news began breaking that actually no, Justin Bieber had snubbed him, that he had turned down Usher. People were wondering if this was true or just, usual rumor mill in the media. But then Usher confirmed it on The Breakfast Club. Kind of seemed like he was trying to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal, that here I am the mentor and he turned me down. Here is what Usher said explaining that on The Breakfast Club.
It might have been the fact that he was just, wanting to tell a different story right now. And I understand that. But we did have a brief conversation and, we're going to do something else in the future. But there's no love lost or anything like that. I think that it's a lot of pressure for the Super Bowl, obviously, for me to put together a show. So I reached out to everybody. Justin wasn't the only person that I actually spoke to about doing the Super Bowl. But the moment was maybe for later.
But Usher says we shouldn't count Justin out as a future halftime headliner.
He's going to play the Super Bowl. I'll go ahead and give you that in the future. I profess that over his life and over his time because he has a career that deserves it. But it just didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it.
Usher's team scrambled to find him, but for 2 days, Bieber disappeared. No calls, no texts, nothing. When they finally reconnected, Usher said Bieber wouldn't even look him in the eye. He just said, "It's fine, I'm good now." But he wasn't, Usher told the courtroom. Not at all. Then came the private confrontation. Usher said he met with Diddy face to face and asked him point blank, "What are you doing to these kids?" Diddy didn't deny a thing. According to Usher, he just chuckled and said, "Same thing they did to me. That's how the game works." That was the last real conversation Usher said he ever had with him. After that, I stepped back. I didn't want my name tied to any of it, but watching what happened to Justin, I couldn't keep quiet anymore. Then Usher dropped the final shock. It's something he'd never told before. In 2018, he said he got a call from a blocked number. A voice on the other end said, "Tell him to keep his mouth shut or we'll shut it for him." The courtroom froze. The message was loud and terrifying. When the prosecutor asked who he thought was behind the threatening call, Usher didn't hesitate. He looked straight at the defense table and said coldly, "I think you know." Then he dropped a moment no one had heard about until now. Usher revealed that the final breaking point in his relationship with Diddy happened during a secretive night in 2002, a night that had never been made public. It was supposed to be a low-key gathering, a private party tucked away at a hidden estate in the Hollywood Hills. Nothing flashy, nothing wild, but what Usher described on the stand felt anything but normal. He said the moment he stepped inside, he could tell something was off. Diddy had invited him under the pretense of introducing a European music producer. But when Usher arrived, there were no executives, no producers, just dim lights, tight-lipped security on every corner, and a vibe that screamed secrecy. And it wasn't just the setting. According to Usher, the place was filled with young artists and models, most of them thinking they were there for a shot at their big break. Instead, phones were taken at the door, no photos, no recordings, and then came the paperwork. Usher said contracts were handed out to guests, labeled as NDAs, but filled with aggressive legal language unlike anything he'd ever seen in the music world. He called it what it felt like, a trap disguised as an opportunity. The vibe was off, Usher said, and for the first time in his testimony, his voice broke. There were people there who weren't artists. They weren't execs, he added. That's when I realized they were just watching. He said he spotted some very familiar faces, celebrities the public never linked to Diddy's circle, but Usher refused to name them in open court. Instead, he gave a warning shot. If this trial keeps moving forward, others will step into the light. But the most chilling moment of his statement came when he described what happened as he tried to leave that strange party early. He said a man he didn't recognize stopped him and led him into a side room where Diddy was already sitting. He looked me in the eye and said, "You're not ready yet. You still think this is about music. This is bigger than that." That was it. Usher said he walked out that night and never returned to another one of Diddy's parties again. Then the testimony shifted, and it got even more real. Usher began exposing how Diddy handled business behind the scenes, not just with him, but with dozens of bad boy artists. For the first time, Usher submitted actual contract drafts and internal emails into evidence. He revealed that, as a teenager, he signed a development deal that locked him into 5 albums and gave up the rights to his masters until he turned 35. "I didn't even know what I was signing," Usher admitted, his voice heavy. "I just wanted to sing." But what came next stunned the courtroom even more. Usher exposed how other artists were tied up in the same kind of contracts. He named names: Carl Thomas, Total, Black Rob, and the late Craig Mack. According to Usher, Diddy had a system: bring young artists in with promises of fame and mentorship, then drop them the moment they push back or stop being useful. And when Usher finally took a look at the money, the numbers didn't add up, not even close. He revealed that a private accountant once sent him a spreadsheet showing how much royalty money he had never received. The total? Over $4.3 million. When he brought it to Diddy's attention, Usher said Diddy laughed and told him, "If you knew what was really owed to you, you wouldn't sleep at night." And it wasn't just Usher. Court documents showed other artists had taken quiet settlements over the years. Some were handed small payouts just to get back the rights to use their own names or perform their own music. Then came one of the biggest shocks. Usher said he once tried to secretly bring together other bad boy artists in 2011 to speak up and confront what had happened to them all. But that meeting, it never happened. And the reason why was even more disturbing. Someone tipped Diddy off. That's what Usher told the court, and the tension shot through the room. But what came next hit even harder. He claimed he once witnessed Diddy order the destruction of demo tapes and video footage that belonged to an artist who had threatened to speak out. That artist, gone, disappeared from the spotlight completely. "I don't know where he is," Usher said softly. "Nobody does. But I remember his voice, and I remember that he was scared." The courtroom was frozen. Then, the most emotional moment yet, Usher broke down. The weight of everything he'd held in for years finally spilled out. When asked why he never spoke out sooner, his voice cracked as he delivered a heartbreaking truth. "Because I thought I owed him. I thought if I stayed silent, I could move on and still be grateful. But you can't be grateful for a lie." The guilt, Usher said, had eaten him alive for years. He'd watched other young artists fall into the same trap he once did. Chewed up, silenced, discarded. And for a long time, he didn't know how to help without setting fire to his own career. It was always about leverage, he said. And Diddy, he had all of it. Then came the twist. Usher revealed that in 2016, around the time that infamous Drink Champs clip resurfaced online, something in him snapped. The silence could no longer protect anyone. Usher revealed that he had once tried to confront Diddy face to face, but Diddy's legal team blocked him at every turn. Then came the part that hit everyone in the courtroom like a gut punch. Usher spoke about a private journal entry he wrote the night he walked away from Diddy's mentorship for good. It had never been published, never shared, until now. "I survived Puffy," it read. "But did the kid in me survive? I still don't know." You could hear the air leave the room. Usher turned his attention to the courtroom, the victims watching online, and the younger artists who had grown up idolizing the very people now facing accusations. "This isn't just about one man," Usher said, his voice firm. "It's about a whole system, one that taught kids like me to stay quiet, stay grateful, and never question the hands feeding us." He paused, then finished. "But I'm here now, and I'm not afraid anymore. Not for me. I already lived it. I'm doing this for the ones who didn't make it out." The room sat in absolute silence. What had started as a racketeering and trafficking trial had now become something far bigger, a public reckoning for decades of silence, manipulation, and unspoken truths in the music industry. What the public never knew until now is that at the peak of his early fame, just after dropping his hit album 8701 in 2001, Usher vanished for an entire week. Rumors swirled. Industry insiders chalked it up to exhaustion or a break from nonstop touring. But in court, Usher revealed the truth. He had checked himself into a private mental health facility in Northern California under a false name. According to his testimony, the breakdown wasn't about fame or pressure. It was the weight of unresolved trauma. Trauma that went all the way back to his teenage years under Diddy's care. Usher confessed he began experiencing intense panic attacks after turning 20. Random triggers would set him off, flashing lights, packed crowds, even certain songs. At first, I didn't understand what was happening, he told the court, but then it all came back. He described one night in a New York hotel, the same city where it all began. He stepped into the hallway and froze. I smelled the same brand of candles he used to burn, Usher said, his voice low, and my whole body locked up. That scent, something so small, dragged him straight back to the place he'd spent years trying to forget. In that moment, it wasn't just a memory, it was his body remembering what his mind tried to bury. I started shaking. I couldn't breathe. That's how Usher described the panic that hit him that night in the hotel. His team rushed him to a private clinic where he stayed under observation for 5 days. No press, no headlines, just silence. And what he told the in-house psychiatrist during that stay, he had never shared publicly until now. I told him I saw things no kid should ever see, Usher said, voice heavy with pain. I lived in a world where power meant silence and survival meant smiling through it. Then came the most chilling line of his testimony. That house, it wasn't just a crash pad. It was a place where dreams were sold, but your soul was the price. The courtroom froze. Usher said the psychiatrist diagnosed him with PTSD, a revelation that left fans and reporters outside the courtroom completely stunned. He shared that it took nearly 2 full years of therapy before he could even sleep through the night without waking up in a sweat from the same recurring nightmares. And while Usher never named names, he hinted that he wasn't the only one. There were others, he said, young artists who had similar ties to Diddy. Some vanished, some broke down, but they never spoke, too scared, too alone. Then he added one final heartbreaking truth. I was lucky. I had the money to get help, but some of them didn't. One of them overdosed, another tried to take his own life, and the third, he vanished, gone without a trace. When asked why he stayed silent for over 20 years, Usher didn't hesitate. Because in 2001, no one would have believed me, he said. Puffy was untouchable, and I was just the kid with the voice. Then he leaned forward, steady and unshaken. But now, the world's finally ready to listen. The courtroom didn't move. You could feel the weight in the air, not just from the confession, but from what it represented. Because behind every platinum plaque, behind every Grammy speech, behind every sold-out arena, was a young artist fighting a battle no one saw. A silent war buried beneath bright lights and photo ops. A constant fight to survive while being told to smile for the cameras. And now, Usher was speaking, not just for himself, but for every voice that had been drowned out by the music. If this story moved you, if you're ready for more truth, don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment down below. Share this video so more people can hear what really goes on behind the scenes. We'll see you on the next one, right here on New Viral Drama.